Hello, hello! Magandang gabi, mga titos and titas! Welcome sa episode 4 ng Bit Bulaga. Nandito ngayong gabi ang mga paborito nyong tito, mga naggagwapuhang tito. Yeah. Let's all welcome mga titos and titas. Unahin ko na muna si Tito Luis Buenaventura all the way from La Union.
Hello, hello, hello. Good evening, everyone. Nice to be back. Parang ang tagal na, no? Kailan ba yung last time? Actually, last month lang pala. Pero feeling ko parang ang dami nangyari sa May.
That's true, that's true. Pero mo, nagsimula tayo ng red down ng May 1. Tapos ngayon, medyo lumalaban naman. Talagang marami talaga mga pangyayari. Alright. Welcome, Tito Luis. Maganda yung background mo ngayon. Ini-expect sana namin yung beach body mo.
Well, wala kasing not safe for work na na label yung show natin so baka bawal ata yun.
Alright, mamaya baka mapasarap tayo. Marami tayong pagkukwentuhan today. Well, nandito kasama natin ang pangalawang tito live kasama ang mga kuliglig. Tito Aldrin, Tito Crypto Fortune. Talagang yung background.
Hey guys, kamusta?
Grabe nga talaga yung ambiance niya.
Sorry, wala pa kaming power, walang kuryente dito sa amin, so lumabas talaga yung mga kuliglig kasi madilim.
Kala nila nagjo-joke ako, talagang kuliglig ang background, di ba?
Literal, legit.
Legit. Nasa Bataan ka, di ba, Tito? Tama ba?
Bataan? Pero yung province ko talaga, Tito, sa Romblon po, dito ako ngayon sa Romblon. Masarap beach dito, maganda din beach dito aside from kay Luis na sa La Union. I think mas maganda yung Romblon kasi nag-top 50 sila sa world's famous beaches po ata.
Hindi pa nakakapunta.
Yun.
Baka gusto mo naman kami kumbinahin dyan.
Sure.
Alright, madami tayong pag-uusapan dito, Aldrin. Kahit na alam ko marami kang kasamang kuliglig dyan, pero standby lang. Mga titos and titas. Baka mamaya manalo kayo, may papamigay tayo, may pamimigay, di ba, mamaya? So, hindi yung kuliglig, ha? Legit. May papamigay tayo. Na safe. Tama ba? Na wallet, no? Okay. Hindi ko lang alam kung Seiko yan, ha? Pero hardware wallet pamimigay natin galing sa Bit Bulaga yan. Kaya standby mga titos and titas.
Alam ba ng mga Gen Z yung Seiko wallet na joke na yan? Hindi ko alam kung alam ng Gen Z yan
Oo nga Alam mo ba yan, Tito Aldrin? May jingle yun.
Ngayon ko lang din actually na narinig.
Ngayon
lang.
Sorry, ibang generation.
Gusto mong marinig yung jingle? Tito Aldrin? May jingle
sure, Tito, go.
Sure. Alright, ito. Susunod natin na Tito. Okay, paparinig sa inyo ang jingle ng Seiko Wallet. Kuyang Jerome, pasok!
Seiko Wallet. Seiko Films na yung inabot ko, Tito G.
Uy, ano? Iba naman yung Seiko Films.
Iba ba yun?
Yung Seiko Films, may tagline yon. Hindi na rin alam ni Aldrin yon. If it's from Seiko, tutuloy ni Tito Luis to. Tito Luis, alam mo to. If it's from Seiko, it must be
good, no?
Bold.
Tito Luis ang original TL.
Sabi. Actually, yung Seiko wallet na jingle na yun, pwede mo siyang gamitin for crypto wallets Actually, dapat may mag-update nun.
Tutugtong mo lang yung pangalan nung
pwede.
Yes. Ayan. I-search na. Malamang nasa YouTube yan. I-search nyo na yung jingle ng Seiko Wallet. Titos and titas. Classic yan. Classic. Well, today, bukod dyan sa jingle ng Seiko Wallet, marami tayong pag-uusapan. So, simulan na natin. Mahaba-haba ito. I-ready nyo yung mga tanong ninyo dahil sasagutin natin karamihan sa mga tanong na yan. But first, ang daming mga ganap sa crypto space. Sabi nga ni Tito Luis, parang ang tagal na since nung last, no? Na nagkaroon tayo ng Bit Bulaga session. Pero last month lang pala yon dahil nga ang daming ganap. Alright. So isa sa mga inaabangan ng mga traders, speculators, Tito Luis, Kuyang Jerome, is itong sell in May and walk away. There's a phenomenon na ganun di ba? Na sell in May and walk away. And we've seen that nung May 1, talagang nag-dip yung market. What do you think about it, Tito Luis? Totoo ba yan? Talaga bang may sell in May?
Yung data actually doesn't really support it. Pero hindi ko nga alam kung paano naging... I guess sa stocks yun, no? Yung nag-umpisa yung saying na yun. Sa stock market siya nag-umpisa. Na usually, pag summer sa US, nagbe-break yung mga tao. Like, nagbabakasyon yung mga tao. Tapos usually babalik sila in the fall, which is usually August yun sa US. So I think that's where that saying came from. But I think that there's a lot of sayings in the trading world, no? But I find that there's usually some data that you can use to prove na hindi actually totoo yun. Ganon. Depending on what the saying is, there's always some kind of data that you can show na actually hindi naman totoo. But yeah, nung umpisa yung start of May, we were under $60,000. We were $59,000 sa Bitcoin. But now we're doing pretty well, right? We're in the $69,000 to $70,000 range again. Actually, sorry, before that, I guess we're gonna talk about some of the events that we were doing, no? But I just wanted to just mention na parang hindi na ata ako kakain ng pizza until next year. I think sa sobrang daming Bitcoin pizza days this May, I think I'm done with pizzas for the rest of the year. Next year na ulit.
Grabe yung event na yun, yung Bitcoin Pizza Day na yun. But, nakakatuwa kasi yung community talaga is very active, no, in celebrating that special day. Dati-rate, wala naman Hindi siya ganun ka sineselebrate. But, magugulat ka nga, this year, and most likely, in the coming years, mga susunod, talagang isa-celebrate yan. I will not be surprised kapag merong mga anak dito tapos si Sarian, yung day na yun. Yung day na yun ang pipiliin sa mga anak niya, di ba? Yeah. Matindi itong crypto community. Nakita natin, and even, hindi lang yung Pizza Day. Yesterday, nandun ako sa event sa Tokenization Manila 2024. Nandun kami ni Kuyang. So that's another event na inaabangan. So sabi ko, talagang buhay na buhay yung crypto community. So isa pa sa mga nangyari is itong approval ng ETF. Diba? Kuyang, nagulat ka ba dito sa approval ng ETF? Or is this something that you're expecting given na alam naman na ang initial date of approval probably May talaga. So is this something na ina-expect mo, Kuyang?
Yes, it is already expected, no, since the approval ng Bitcoin ETFs, no. So kasi may precedent na. So nung nangyari yung Bitcoin ETF approval, no, sinabi natin na Ethereum ETF approval is just a matter of when na lang, no, not if. Kaya lang medyo nagkaroon ng medyo nagkaroon ng shake out ngayong May when the SEC, no, medyo nagde-delay, no, nung mga unang tawag dito, ng mga unang due dates, no. But when they asked, no, ito yung nagbalik dun sa sigla ng market when they asked for the revised forms, no, from the proponents ng Ethereum ETF, then isang araw lang ata nagkaroon na ng approval, no. So while ine-expect na ng market ng karamihan, no, so ang ganda nung naging plot twist ngayong buwan, no. So when everybody was expecting that sell in May and go away scenario, no, sabi nga ni Kuya Luis, probably true kasi the people from the US nagbe-break nag-holiday. So magte-take profit muna sila sa kanilang mga investments. Gagastahin muna nila yan sa ibang lugar, no, mag-holiday muna sila. Then they will go back kapag malamig na ulit sa bansa nila. So maraming nagulat. Yes, maraming nagulat. Pero I think marami rin nagulat dahil hindi rin ganun kataas yung ginawang pump ng market after the ETF approval.
Hindi siya bumalik ng all-time high eh.
Hindi bumalik na all-time high. So, medyo tingin ko mas doon nagulat yung market because everyone is already expecting the approval.
Alright. Pwede ko ba i-share yung conspiracy theory ko? So the week before the ETF approval happened, si Donald Trump made a very bold statement that he was going to publicly support the crypto industry in the US. So, obviously Donald Trump, a very polarizing, controversial figure, but he's running for the US presidency kasi in November, no? So it's kind of a big deal for someone like him to say that he is going to really support the crypto industry. Now, the current administration, si President Biden, they're kind of anti-crypto. And you can see that from all of the things like yung Bitcoin ETF sobrang tagal niya ma-approve, right? There you go. There's a perfect link for this. So the theory is that because President Trump, who is going to be running against Biden in the coming elections, because he was showing that he was pro-crypto, the Biden administration was pressured to actually do something to show na hindi naman sila ganun ka-anti-crypto. And ang nangyari is na parang na-advance, na-accelerate yung pag-approve nung Ethereum ETF as a result of that. That's why everyone was kind of surprised by the timing. Parang if you were looking at the forecasts of all of the ETF analysts before that, no one expected it to happen this month. Everyone expected it to be delayed by at least a few more months. But instead, everyone was taken by surprise, and suddenly, hindi pa nga tapos yung May, hindi pa na-hit yung approval deadline for May, na-approve na siya. So, the theory is that there is some kind of political angle to this. And if we follow this narrative thread all the way down to November of this year, you can kind of sense na magiging part of the platform ng mga presidential candidates yung stand nila on crypto. Are they pro-crypto? Are they anti-crypto? And if you believe the statistics kasi, there's about 50 million Americans that are supposedly crypto users. I don't really know how accurate that statistic is, but that's a very large chunk of the voting population. It is worth promoting a pro-crypto stance to that large population. So if they really care about their crypto, and there really is 50 million of them, then they might actually go out and vote for the president that he is most pro-crypto. And weirdly, that might be Trump. And whether or not you have feelings about Trump, no, like I mean, I don't especially like the guy, but kung siya yung pro-crypto, I kind of feel like we sort of have to support him. Weird, no? It's kind of a strange thing for me.
Very vocal siya, no? In terms of supporting crypto. Pero yun nga, meron din mga skeptics na yung iba iniisip, possible na political play lang yan, 'di ba? Na sige, pangako lang yan, pero pagdating ng pag naupo na, so baka pwedeng mag-iba rin. May mga ganun din, may mga skeptics din. But amongst all the candidates, siya yung talagang medyo maingay na I'm pro-crypto. So ganun yung stand ni Donald Trump, no? So kaya medyo maganda tong election na to kasi para magkakaroon dito ng vote of confidence kung mananalo si Trump, vote of confidence sa crypto. Kung hindi naman, so most likely yung crypto sa US, medyo kahit papan, kumbaga mababagal na naman tayo, posibleng ganun na naman, no? So yun yung but itong recent approval nitong ETF Tito Luis, no, na parang biglaan. So does this mean na si Biden, tingin mo doon ba sa conspiracy theory, does this mean na si Biden medyo parang luwag ako ng konti para yung 50 million, makakurot ako ng konti doon sa 50 million Americans.
Yeah, feeling ko yun Kasi nape-pressure nga sila kasi medyo mataas. I think if you're following the polls, So hindi naman accurate to, no? It's just an estimate. It looks like Donald Trump is leading eh. So the Biden administration is a little pressured to do something para lang habulin ng konti. And yeah, I feel like it might be as simple as that, no? And I have to say, it is kind of amazing to me that crypto is so important now. Nakasama na siya dun sa platform ng isang US presidential candidate. Now, it's actually relevant. Like, you actually say it. So, I mean, when I first saw that video where Donald Trump was saying he's gonna protect our bitcoins, ganun, stuff like that, I was really, kala ko deep fake. Tapos,
Similar din. Ako din. Actually, kasi it's a short clip, di ba, na makikita mo sa Twitter. So, tinitignan ko yung buka ng bibig niya, medyo natatakpan nung mic. So, sabi ko, teka muna, hindi ko muna ipopost to, baka mamaya.
Yeah, so dinouble check, siya pinost ng Bloomberg. So, I was like, okay, sige. So, I guess this is real. Pero grabe, no, na kasama na siya talaga doon sa platform ng mga kandidato eh. So it's kind of great, di ba? Na parang wow, nandun na tayo dun sa level na we're now a hot button topic that presidential candidates can use to get votes. That's kind of crazy. That's amazing actually. So
Coinbase has I think more than 98 million. Kasi 98 million users sila 2022. So baka ngayon more than 100 million na yan. And most of those are syempre botante.
Yeah.
Adults yung mga naka-open yan. So, tanggalin mo na yung mga duplicate accounts, mga dummy accounts. Kahit 10-20% na active users niyan. Ayaw nilang inisin yung mga nandiyan sa Coinbase. And Coinbase pa lang 'yon. So, marami talagang botante na makukuha ang admin because of approving the Ethereum ETFs.
Add ko na lang din. Si Donald Trump ba meron sariling NFT? As per check.
Meron.
I think meron ata.
Meron. Kumbaga siya talaga nag-initiate no NFT na. I don't know eh. Siya talaga kasi di ba meron na siya talaga dati naririnig na natin yung NFT niya. Tama it's a valid question eh. Is it initiated by him? Siya ba yung or merong isang community lang na sige pangalanan natin Trump NFT to.
If I'm not mistaken, he posted about it on his Twitter account. So even if he didn't initiate it, I think he directly supported it. That part I'm sure of kasi hinanap ko rin yun eh. That's another, di ba, every time there's a celebrity that launches an NFT collection, you always think like fake ba to or AI generated ba to. You have to double check these things now eh. Pero in the case of Donald Trump's NFT collection, it was he authorized it.
Alright, I think doon pa lang medyo makikita mo na yung kanyang stand about crypto. Kumbaga gusto niya sumakay doon sa space. meron na siyang NFT. Probably it's part also of his campaign plans, di ba? Even before ni-ready niya na. Something like that. Yeah. So, Tito Aldrin, what do you think ang sentiment ng community? Ano ba ang dito sa Ethereum ETF kasi nga nabanggit ni Kuyang kanina, 'di ba? Sabi niya parang nagulat, hindi nag-pump.
Yeah. Oo. 'Yun. Siguro sa akin kasi own opinion ka lang din ito, tsaka yung mindset ko din more on contrarian eh. 'Di ba meron ng mga dating pending issues itong si Ethereum tapos yung late bias ko kay Ethereum is that potentially to be delayed and then nangyari na lang siya na may mga updates na like for example yung 19B4 amendments, so yun yung isa sa mga indicator if yung isang like this Ethereum ETF potentially approved. So yun yung isa sa mga indicator na tiningnan ko at change bias ako on my end. So in terms of siguro sa price action, siguro yun yung pinaka-anticipation siguro ng community na this could potentially delayed. And then before pa nagkaroon ng announcements, I think on my own opinion price in si Ethereum though unlike for the Bitcoin na nag all-time high siya after the ETF ni Bitcoin. Pero we can see some lagging time for Bitcoin to hit all-time highs eh. It takes month din. It takes
Ethereum.
few weeks.
Lagging time for Ethereum. Dito, Aldrin.
As well as I think we can see some lagging time as well for Ethereum, just like what happened for Bitcoin. Own opinion ko lang din ito. And as per observation, people may surely secure to be listed talaga kasi I think June yung pinaka listings. So recently I read some blog post about S1 filing. So it's a type of document for an IPO bago i-launch sa public na maging official ETF itong si Ethereum. And yung tao diyan sila ulit magkakaroon ng interest once na na-open eh. Because Ethereum ETF is merong custodian eh. So meaning secure yung magiging holdings na Ethereum mo. So maybe I think we can see, I don't know, wala akong magic ball, pero maybe we can see some good movement for Ethereum once na ma-open in public. Yun yung isa sa tinitingnan ko. Other people hesitant din sa mga crypto exchanges right now. So like, I think demand comes in once na malis talaga totally in public. Yun yung isa sa mga thinking ko lang din in my own opinion.
I-echo ko lang no yung sa yung comment mo Tito Aldrin kasi ako din sinabi ko nga to dun sa one of my vlogs no kasi nagtatanong bakit hindi nag-pump ang Ethereum considering na na-approve yung ETF no nagkagulatan ako personally nagulat ako hindi ko ina-expect na ma-approve ng May yung inyong Ethereum so nagulat ako na-approve siya so I think isa sa mga I identified two reasons eh. One is nung binalik ng SEC, nag-comment sila na gumawa kayo ng accelerated filing doon sa mga 'di ba, kina BlackRock, make an accelerated filing. Nag-pump na yung nag-pump na kagad yung price eh. Alright? So nung nag-comment pa lang ang SEC, nag-pump na yung price anticipating na nagmamadali na tong SEC na i-approve yung ETF. That's one. Number two, na reason na nakikita ko, it's because yung mga clients or target market, itong ETFs na to, are not the guys like us, not the retailers, di ba, who can buy Ethereum sa mga exchanges, di ba? Not like, usually ang target nito, yung mga nasa TradFi, yung mga may pera na kay BlackRock, may pera na kay Fidelity, kay Franklin Templeton, na i-convert lang nila into ETF. So ito yung mga nasa TradFi. But since hindi pa available, hindi pa siya live, okay, this coming June pala magiging live, walang bumili. Kasi nga, pinrontra na nito mga retailers sa exchanges. Di ba? Pinrontra na natin nung binalik pala. So yun lang ina-speculate ko na dalawang reason. Well, we'll see no once na maging live yan. But my next question is this, no, dito Luis, Kuyang Jerome. Do you think na yung appetite ng mga investors in the US, no, dito sa ETF, Ethereum ETF, will be the same or at least somehow nandun sa, sabihin na natin, 50-60% nung appetite nila sa Bitcoin ETF? What do you think? Is this too soon yung approval?
Yeah, in my opinion, a little bit too soon. Yeah, because wala pang opportunity yung Bitcoin na na talagang lumaki yung share niya, no? Because honestly, if you I should have shared this pala earlier. Lumabas na kasi yung mga data from the first 3 months of the Bitcoin ETFs. So now we know who owns what. Sino ba yung mga bumili talaga? And it turns out na yung average size of the trades, yung average size ng mga bumili nung Bitcoin ETFs is only $14,000 per trade size. And what that means is, hindi institutional yung mga bumili. It is actually not what we were thinking. It's actually kind of normal people, siguro mga upper middle class, ganon, they have enough money to bet, but no institution will bet $14,000. if they're gonna bet, hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars, ganon, right? But it turns out that only about 5% of the Bitcoin ETFs were being bought by institutions. 95% of it was from small, smaller, hindi naman super small, pero smaller traders. And that kind of made me think na, tayo pa rin ata yun eh. Because I'm not sure if that's I'm not sure if that, because you remember the narrative in January, no? Parang we were opening the floodgates to all of these big institutions, corporations who could finally buy Bitcoin. But that's not actually what happened. If it had happened that way, they would have been taking $1 million trade sizes, not $14,000. That's so strange. That's such a strange size. So I think that we haven't really managed to promote the idea of Bitcoin as an investment yet. Or maybe we are. Maybe BlackRock and Fidelity already are promoting it, pero hindi pa kumakagat. Or not enough yet. It takes time, obviously. Hindi naman instant yun eh. Definitely not overnight. And if you are large corporations, yung mga board meeting nyo, once per quarter lang nangyayari. So, yung timing pa lang nun, ibig sabihin the next one is probably gonna be in July, di ba? Okay, I guess wala muna tayong gagawin in the meantime. So, di ba, mahahaba yung mga timeline nila. So, I kind of wished that Bitcoin had a little bit more chance to breathe para lumaki pa ng konti yung yung impact niya sa stock market before Ethereum comes along, and then potentially kasi magka-cannibalize ng investors yan eh, kasi if you're talking about a small group of people, hindi naman infinite yung pera ng mga yan, posibleng yung $14,000 nila ilalabas nila from Bitcoin, kumita na sila ng konti, lipat naman nila sa Ethereum. So ang mangyayari, 'di ba, ma-rebalance lang yung pero hindi naman, there's no new money. What you need is new inflow. Exactly right. So yung what we're looking for always is there fresh capital that is actually entering the market. Kung tayo lang yung nagte-trade, hindi gagalaw yung price substantially eh. So ayun, yun lang. I guess that's where I'm at. I wish we had another 3-4 months or something before Ethereum was approved.
Kung Tito, kung babalikan kasi natin yung, kasi meron ng futures ETF before, di ba, sa CME. The Bitcoin Futures ETF was launched, I think, late 2017. So, December 2017, Bitcoin Futures ETF. Then, the Ethereum Futures ETF sa CME was launched, I think, early 2021. So, meron silang 3 taon na gap. Yung yung launch na yon. No? So, the market digested Bitcoin Futures ETF for 3 years bago lumabas yung sa Ethereum. Tapos, kung maaalala natin, few months ago, ay nag-launch ang Hong Kong ng Bitcoin and Ethereum spot ETFs. So sabi nila, hindi masyadong maganda yung pagtanggap ng market doon sa spot ETFs sa Hong Kong. No? And if you're going to look at the figures, para nasa 4% lang ng total volume of both Bitcoin and Ethereum combined, 4% lang nun ang sa Ethereum. Okay? Tapos sa CME, pagka tiningnan din natin yung volume ng nagte-trade sa Bitcoin Futures ETF tsaka sa Ethereum Futures ETF, I think nasa 10 to 15% ang volume ng Ethereum. And syempre, tandaan natin, yung CME, dyan nagte-trade yung mga instis. So, dyan nagte-trade sila ng futures sa CME. So, right now, itong Ethereum ETFs na spot ETFs, no? So, yes, launch too soon. Pero if you're going to consider yung market cap ni Ethereum compared to BTC, I think kapag ka nag-umpisa yung trading ng Ethereum ETFs, no, so meron pa ring sipa na mangyayari diyan kasi kung merong 4% or 10% of the inflows ng Bitcoin spot ETFs ang lilipat, or at least merong nakareserba yung mga nag-invest for the spot Bitcoin ETF, meron silang 10% of their allocation for Ethereum, meron pa ring upside for Ethereum.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah,
Would you like to add?
Yeah.
Tito Aldrin, go
Yeah,
ahead.
I'd like to add lang din, Tito, kasi I believe na ang market is more of human emotions eh. So, if I actually appreciate yung price currently ng crypto market aside from the other years na May, June is like consolidation lang talaga yung price action tapos bumabagsak, pero upon observation for this month, yung market is on its distribution sa taas eh. So parang may pinapahiwatig na may inaantay or or if ever na magkaroon ng negative catalyst, pwedeng bumagsak, pero upon observations, itong si mga high market cap is on its distribution phase sa taas eh. So yun, siguro for me, sa own opinion ka lang kasi as mentioned, it's more of human emotion if ever na binobroadcast na sa TVs or medyo mataas na yung price, that's the time na yung tayo is nagra-rush na naman na bumili. But in my own opinion, yung opportunity is hindi doon talaga sa ganong stage eh. Yung pinaka stage talaga ng if you want to like take advantage yung price action, if yung hindi pa totally binobroadcast and yun, yung sentiment ng tao na if ever na wala pa silang paki right now, I think that's for me, it's a good time, an opportunity, for me, buying opportunity for me. Yun, siguro, ang pinaka, perspective ko, yeah.
Alright. Ayan. So, mabilis ang approval ng spot Ethereum ETF. Ako, honestly, natuwa naman ako kasi na-approve yan. It will open the floodgate to the other coins na magkaroon ng ETF. Ngayon, bibitinin muna natin yung mga audience natin kasi sa pagbabalik natin, itatanong natin, ano yung tinitignan nyo na next? Yun naman yan eh, di ba? Tapos na tayo. Nandiyan na si Bitcoin, nandiyan na si Ethereum. Who's next?
Bulungan na
Who's
to.
next? Ayan, ito na, bulungan. Ha, mga titos at titas, huwag kayong aalis. Diyan lang kayo, dito lang kami sa pagbabalik namin. Sasagutin niya mga tanong yan. At syempre, may guest din tayo tonight na mamimigay ng ledger. Alright, sa pagbabalik po yan ng Bit Bulaga! We are back, mga titos and titas. Ito na, papasok natin ang guest tonight from Isaw Shop. Alright, let's all welcome Tito Carl Nagano. Tito Carl.
Hello po mga titos. Good evening po.
Hello, welcome.
Yes.
Alright, si Tito Carl, welcome and thank you for the opportunity and thank you for being here tonight. Well, at syempre, papasalamatan ko na sa pamimigay mo. Treasure Safe 3. Marami nakaabang dyan, kasi hindi naman biro no, na mamigay ng Treasure Safe 3. Well, meron kang itatanong later, kaya everyone, mga titos at titas, makinig po kayo dahil yung sagot sa tanong mamaya, paunahan na lang daw ng sagot ito. Sino unang makakasagot, yun ang mananalo. Tama? Alright.
Ang
so,
maswerteng mauuna para sa maswerteng wallet.
Ay. Ayun. Sige, Tito Carl, tell us something about Isaw Shop. Matagal ko nang naririnig to kasi I've been a friend of Tito Al Erickson back in the day, since 2020. No, nauna sa front seat yan si Tito Al Erickson, and then ito na nga, meron ng Isaw Shop. Alright.
Yeah, I mean, 2020 was the year we started as well, Isaw Shop. Marami nagtatanong, ano bang binibenta nyo? Parang masarap yan, ha? Hindi naman siya isaw. Kundi, well, isaw is, kasi si founder natin is si Tito Al is gamer. So, moniker niya yan, Isaw. Mahilig din kasi siya sa isaw. That's why Isaw Shop. So, shop ni Isaw yan. And started 2020 Isaw Shop for hardware wallets. You know, yung hardware wallet, it started when there was kumbaga yung trigger niya is yung nagkaroon ng big hack sa Mt. Gox, if you can remember that, mga titos. So, si Satoshi Labs created the first hardware wallet, which is yung Trezor, 'di ba? So, ngayon, yun yung mamaya later on yun yung ipapamigay natin, which is yung bago nila, which is yung Trezor Safe 3, which is what we're showing right now. So, way back 2020, Tito, nung taon na yan, nasa first seat si Tito Al, basically, that time, ang hirap mag-purchase ng hardware wallet dito sa Pilipinas. And the safest way was importing directly from manufacturers para safe yung dadating sa yung wallet. But the thing is, of course, pagka ganun ang gagawin mo, may chance na maharang siya sa customs, and talaga mahirap magpasok nung crypto wallets. So basically, Isaw Shop was created para maging one-stop shop for your crypto security, hardwares, and merch. So yan si Isaw Shop. And just follow us sa ating Isaw Shop Facebook page to know more. And
siguro for our viewers, we should talk about ano ba yung, like, what are the prices of some of your devices para they have an idea, kasi I think actually yung giveaway mo is quite valuable, no? And maybe they don't know kasi kung ano yung value niya.
Basically, we have an array of options to choose from. We have different wallets in our shop, ranging from around 3,000 pesos up to the highest. Syempre, we have around 14,000 to 15,000, depending on the needs of the user, of course.
And then this Safe 3, the one that you're giving away, that's in the 6,000 peso range, no?
6,800, around 7,000.
6,000 peso value that people can win. So that's also always going to be very valuable. Maybe for the people in the audience who are maybe not super aware, no? Ano ba yung nadadagdag na security ng isang device like this?
Yes.
Because I think maybe it's not clear to them kung bakit kailangan, or di ba? Yeah.
Actually, yes, tama po kayo, Tito Luis. Medyo hindi pa masyadong knowledgeable ang mga crypto users when it comes to wallet. So basically, it's like this device is like a key, physical key para ma-access mo yung crypto assets. And basically, you need the device itself na connected sa PC mo, or may mga hardware wallets na you can use your cell phones as well, your mobile phones. So hindi mo ma-access yung asset mo kung wala yung physical na device mo. So it's a way na maging safe yung asset.
Right. Actually, funnily enough, before I left for LU, kaka-setup ko lang nitong Safe 3 na to sa bahay. Tapos nakalimutan ko siya dalhin. So hindi ko siya dala ngayon. And then I realized actually meron din siyang isa pang value. Pag wala kasi siya sa'yo, hindi mo magastos yung crypto mo, di ba?
Yes.
So, okay.
Tsaka safe kami yan. Walang magbubuhos. Hindi mo dala eh.
So, ayun, yun yung napansin ko na value sa kanya. Kasi nagkaroon ng physical component, yung holdings mo. And just like any other safe or vault or a place where you can store your physical wealth, pag wala ka dun, hindi mo siya magagastos.
Even if you know the code, diba? I mean,
yeah, right. So, it kind of helps.
Malaman nila yung code. Walang mangyayari kasi nasa yung physical na. You just have to find a way where to keep that device, of course.
Yeah.
Parang vault. Yung susi, kailangan safe din.
So,
go ahead dito. Sige, last question lang ako. Yung kasi, no, so there are a lot of different brands when it comes to hardware security devices. There's Trezor, there's Ledger. And if I'm not mistaken, parang Ledger yung medyo matunog dito sa Pilipinas. I don't know exactly why that is. But what's your how do you compare the two? I guess yun yung dalawang pinaka-popular, no, yung Trezor sa Ledger. Maraming iba, pero I guess yun yung dalawang pinaka-kilala eh.
Sila yung 1 and 2 spots for our sales. Mas maraming nakakakilala sa kanila, yes. Mainly because si Trezor, one is siya yung nauna. si Ledger is magaling marketing ni Ledger. Tsaka, I mean, we can give it to them. Maganda naman din talaga yung products nila. When it comes to choosing which is the brand for you, actually depends talaga sa pangangailangan and kung ano yung mga supported na coins and so kung ano talaga yung pangangailangan ng user.
Alright. Marami nagtatanong, no, ako kahit nung una, when I bought my first Ledger, sabi ko USB lang pala to. Kasi talagang yung itsura niya nung, alam mo yung unang panahon na USB, Tito Luis, alam mo yan di ba? Yan talaga.
Parati iniisip mo.
Di ba? Hindi naman floppy disk ha, ikaw naman. USB talaga, di ba? Sabi ko USB lang to Paano kaya ito? Alam mo, can you educate us on that? Ano ba yung component na nasa loob doon? Hindi ba siya USB lang?
Well, hindi siya USB lang kasi basically kailangan mo rin ng application niya sa computer mo. And then from there, yung pin, ma-access mo dun sa mismong device. So yeah, mukha siyang USB in a sense na siguro para maging familiar yung user on how to use it, saan ba sasaksak to. Kasi kung ibang itsura nun, baka mamaya hindi maging friendly, di ba? But at the same time, kailangan mo yung component na yon for securing anong tawag dito, para magkaroon lang siya ng secure element. Okay? So it's not just a USB, yung app itself ng mismong brand na, for example, Trezor app, meron din siyang Trezor app. So basically, bago mo ma-access yung account mo sa Trezor app, you just have to have the physical device. So yun nga, as I was saying, ito yung device mismo is yun yung pinakasusi para ma-access mo yung assets mo dun sa app.
Alright, siguro kadugtong ng question na yon, yung question ni Zone Art Centino Virtuduaso. Paano daw pag nawala yung device o kaya nasira yung device, di ba? Kasi very very common. Again, pag USB nga minsan nako-corrupt, di ba?
Yes,
madalas na problema.
The wallets, the hardware wallets also comes with the seed phrase, 24 seed phrases. So kung masira mo yung device or mawala yung device, as long as you have the seed phrase, you can recover it pag bumili ka ng bagong device.
Oh, you just enter the seed phrase, no?
Yes.
So you need a new device para ma-recover mo siya.
Yes, yes.
All right. Okay.
Parang cellphone lang din. Sa ngayon, you can change cellphones pero the same settings, same things na nandoon sa dati mong cellphone. Basta alam mo lang ilalogin mo lang yung dati mong email for that.
All right. Okay, now gets. Ganun pala yun. Okay. So, importante yung seed phrase and the physical device din, ano? At least yung seed phrase is like your backup in case na mawala yung physical device mo. Okay. Sa case ni Tito Luis, kung kabisado niya ngayon yung 16 na seed phrase niya, pwede niya na i-access yun. Alright, Tito Carl, thank you. Ano yung tanong natin, yung mahiwagan? Pero bago mo bitawan yung mahiwagan tanong natin, please invite them saan nila kayo makikita, saan yung shop, paano sila makaka-purchase, at baka naman daw may discount dito.
Yeah, we can announce later on siguro kung ano yung pwede nating maging discount. But Isaw Shop, you can visit us at our website, Isaw Shop, www.isawshop.com. Tatlo yung W's nun. There you go. So yun yung isawshop.com. We also have Lazada store and Shopee store. You can also message us sa aming Facebook. It's also Isaw Shop. So visit us at Isaw Shop sa Facebook din. And then feel free to chat with us. May mga sumasagot naman dyan for your increase. Also sa Lazada and sa Shopee and also sa website. So yeah. Siguro I'll discuss with Tito Al what we can give as a discount, or maybe Dahil kanina pinag-uusapan natin yung wallet na maswerte, baka pwede kami maglagay ng parang pakimkim na commemorative coin, something like that. We'll discuss it.
Alright. Thank you. Tito Carl, maraming salamat sa oras mo. Ito na, ang mahiwagang tanong. Alright,
Yes.
ano yung mahiwagang tanong natin para sa mga audience natin? Makinig po mabuti. Yung mauuna sa comment section na tamang sagot, yung tamang sagot, siya yung mananalo nitong Trezor Save 3. Go ahead, Tito.
Yes. So ang ating mahiwagang tanong, anong name ng company na nag-create ng first hardware wallet?
Anong name ng company na nag-create ng first hardware wallet? Ayan, ang mahiwagang tanong, ha? Baka may sumagot na Seiko dito.
May clue ka na nga kanina eh.
Okay, hindi yung wallet na maswerte. Leather yun. Hindi hardware yun. Alright, okay. Tito Carl, maraming salamat sa oras mo tonight. At wag po kayong aalis mga titos and titas. Sa pagbabalik natin, i-announce natin yung winner. At syempre, yung iba, kung hindi kayo mananalo, yung sa second portion natin, sigurado mas panalo kayo. Abangan yung sagot nitong tatlo na to kung ano yung next na tinitignan nila na ETF. Sa pagbabalik po yan ng Bit Bulaga! All right, we are back, mga titos and titas. Ito na, meron pa tayong few more minutes para pagkwentuhan yung next natin, na pwedeng, ano ba uunahin natin? Unahin na ba natin yung next ETF na tinitignan niyo o yung nanalo?
Winner na. Naghihintay na yung mga tao. Nandito na lahat ng mga sagot eh.
Alright. Nahanap natin yung winner. Ito, galing kay Tita Rachel. Okay, ang tamang sagot dun sa tanong, kauna-unahang naka-imbento ng hardware wallet is Satoshi Lab. Satoshi Lab po ang kauna-unahang naka-imbento niyan. At ang kauna-unahang nakasagot ng tama ay si Tito Gene Oliver Panganiban. Congratulations, Tito Gene Oliver Panganiban. Bekenemen. Uy, congrats. Ang sipag nito. Lagi ko nakikita sa mga events. Grabe. Tito Gene Oliver, well-deserved. Well, mga titos and titas, wag kayong mag-alala. Wag kayong mag-alala dahil pag napakinggan nyo itong mga Tito Tips ngayong gabi, sigurado talo nyo pa ang nanalo. Higit pa sa mapapanalunan nyo na hardware wallet. Yan. Unahin na natin. At si Kuyang Jerome, no? Given na karoon na ng approval ng Bitcoin at ETF. Sabi nga natin kanina, this opens the floodgate, no? Para dun sa mga iba pang mga coins na magkaroon ng sarili nilang ETF. Alright? So, meron ka bang tinitignan na pipisil? Kuya?
Tingin ko, Tito, Solana. Solana being the third most traded na mga institutions. No? Yung asset under management of Solana, it's if not next to Bitcoin, no? Pero mga pangatlo yan, hindi yan lalayo, no? Doon sa dalawa, sa Bitcoin and Ethereum. Yun nga lang, things to consider, this one thing to consider, Tito, bago yan mangyari, yung Solana ETFs, no? So like the Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs, bago po nangyari yan, kagaya yung sinabi natin kanina, late 2017, nasa CME Futures si Bitcoin, early 2021 nasa CME future si Ethereum. No, so and this data dyan sa CME are needed by the institutions and the regulators if they're going to consider another spot ETF, no, lalo na sa altcoins. No, so without that, no, tingin ko medyo mas matagal yung kasunod nito. No, kasi wala masyadong data na pagbabasihan yung mga regulators if there is support for such ETF aside from Bitcoin and Ethereum. Pero tingin ko, Tito, Solana.
Alright. Oy, alam niyo naman, yung mga matatagal na dito sa mundo ng crypto, alam niyo na not a financial advice yan. No? Para doon sa mga newbie, ibig sabihin po niya, huwag niyo bibilin. Hindi nyo nire-research. Okay, baka mamaya pag narinig nyo dito, i-all in nyo, no? Mga titos at titas. Okay, para sa mga newbies, ay mga matatagal na alam na nila yan. Yung not a financial advice, basang-basa na rito yan sa mundo ng crypto. Again, para sa mga newbies, pag narinig nyo po dito, huwag nyo pong bibilin. Okay, kailangan nyo pong aralin at i-research yan. Alright, Tito Aldrin, go ahead. Ano ang pick mo? Anong tingin mo?
Naunahan ako ni Tito Jerome, pero other than Solana before Solana I have this XRP tapos I observed some recent for the Ethereum, which is meron pang security issues yan before pero na-approve pa rin, but yeah, yun, Solana, isa din sa top picks ko as ETF kasi Cathy Wood always keep mentioning this coin and as we all know, ARK Invest of Cathy Wood is one of the active in terms of ETF filing. So yun, but before Solana, I've been monitoring XRP before yun, Solana XRP yun yung isa sa mga tinitingnan ko ay potentially next ETF. Yeah. Yan.
Alright. Ay bago natin pasagutin si Tito Luis, please like and share itong ating live stream today. Follow niyo po ang Facebook page ng Musaigen at yung mga Facebook namin. Paki-follow na rin po mga titos and titas. Alright, so tapos pahanda na, we can answer some questions, no? Meron pa tayo ilang minutes, no? So paki-ready po yung mga questions nyo, paki-type sa comment section yan, sasagutin natin. Tito Luis, go ahead, take it away. Ano tingin mo?
Sinabi na ni Jerome sa ni Aldrin yung mga medyo obvious ones, Solana and XRP. I guess those are the ones that you would be most those would be the ones that you would expect, of course. So instead, siguro let's go through the top 10 na lang. And let's name the ones na hindi ma-approve. Yun na lang. How about that?
Ay, sige, maganda yan. Yung hindi ma-approve. Sige, alright.
Okay din.
Top 10. I mean, Bitcoin obviously already approved. Ethereum already approved. Number 3 is USDT. Hindi mo pwedeng gawan ng ETF yan. Okay? Kasi it's just basically a US dollar. BNB is number 4. Malabong magkaroon ng BNB na ETF given yung legal status ng Binance in the US. Yung CEO and founder nila is now probably gonna go to jail for a few months, diba? So, very unlikely. Solana is number 5. I think of all of them, Solana is probably the highest possibility. Number 6 is STETH, which is just staked ETH. So, same, no? It's already approved. Number 7 is USDC. Again, same problem. Hindi mo naman gagawan ng ETF yung US dollar itself. Number 8 is XRP. I agree na if it's not Solana, it's gonna be XRP. Although, I think that over the last few months, nag-iiba slightly yung... Mas nagiging lukewarm ako dun sa XRP na ETF. And it's mostly because there doesn't seem to be much price movement anymore. And I don't know what that means. Parang nawalan na ba ng interest yung Ripple Labs or wala na ba silang ginagawa? I don't know, no? Kasi there's this joke nga that Ripple is the new stablecoin. Kasi hindi gumagalaw eh. Yung range niya parang 48 to 52 that's such a small range during 2024. No, I mean, in the middle of a bull market where Bitcoin broke its all-time high, yung galaw ng XRP sobrang liit, and I have a hard time reconciling that. Okay, anyway, so that's number 8. Number 9, Dogecoin. My personal favorite na sana magkaroon ng ETF.
Mukhang marami ka yan
Medyo ibang klaseng I mean, I can't even imagine how crazy that would be na yung meme coin like Doge, the original meme coin. So Doge was the original meme coin. Suddenly, it is now going to be traded on the stock market. Na if you think about it, if Doge ever becomes an ETF, it's the same people na nagpalaki dun sa GameStop, yung Wall Street bets, sila din yung papatol dyan eh. So, that's kind of built in yung market niya. So I kind of like that idea. I mean, I don't know if it will be good for the market that you have a meme coin. But can you imagine na pag pumasok kasi yung Doge, ibig sabihin lahat ng ibang meme coins pwede na rin pumasok, di ba? Po siya. That's a different level of chaos. Anyway, so Doge is number 9. Number 10 is Cardano. Isa pa to eh. Na parang, I don't know what's going on with this coin.
Stablecoin din, stablecoin.
Stablecoin din siya eh. And, actually, the reason why I mentioned this now is someone messaged me very recently, like today lang, na parang he was asking kung naniniwala ba ako na baka bumalik, may chance bang bumalik yung Cardano sa all-time high niya. Dude, yung all-time high niya, $2.80 ha. Ang layo nun from yung current price natin. And I don't know what's going on with it. And then I was looking at the statistics ng Cardano as of today. Hindi siya, mahina yung trade volume niya eh. Compared to the rest of the top 10 yung trade volume is about $300 million, which is a lot. I mean, I'm not gonna say it's not a lot. It's definitely a lot. Pero compare that to Doge, which is a meme coin na technically walang utility. Doge is doing $1.2 billion in trade volume per day. So 4x yung difference ng Doge and sa Cardano. Pero magkasunod sila dun sa market cap. I'm not sure what's going on with Cardano. I do have a small bag of Cardano na ang pangit ng average ko dun. I think my average is like $1. So, I'm 50% under. So, one of those things na na lang, parang okay lang, tanggapin ko na lang yung... Pero ayoko siyang ibenta. Parang I'm one of those yung forever na lang naaasa na baka bumalik siya doon sa $1 price. Kasi wala na eh, di ba? Ni-write off ka na rin. I feel like I've already lost that money. So if it comes back, I'll be okay, yay. I'll break even. But I don't think it'll go back to $2.80. Parang taas nun, grabe. I don't know. Anyway, my personal opinion. So yeah, so in the top 10, I think Solana definitely the most likely. XRP is probably a close second. Or maybe distant second pala, no? Or baka lumalayo na nga siya from the second choice eh. And then, pero my heart is with Doge. sana yun yung...
malay natin, di ba?
Sobrang crazy nun.
Depende kung gaano karami magbubudega ng mga magpa-file. Diba? Yeah. One good thing dun sa, yun nasa nangyari, no? Marami talagang pwede pang sumunod eh. So, most likely, hindi lang 10, hindi lang yung nasa top 10 ang pwedeng pumasok, magkaroon ng ETF. Probably may mga new kid on the block na pwede ring magkaroon ng sarili nilang ETF. Maybe not this cycle, but what we can expect is most likely in the next cycles and the next cycles to come, may mga mag-a-apply nitong ETF na to. Alright? Because there will be demands for this product once na maging successful yung Bitcoin and yung Ethereum ETF. Ako, may personal, may wild card may wild card entry ako. Not in the top 10. Personally, I'm looking at Chainlink, no? Yung activity ng Chainlink, how it is interconnected to all of the chains. So, sabi ko, pwede. Diba? Pwede. So,
used to be in the top 10 naman din.
It used to be, yes. It used to be. So, I don't know. Again, not a financial advice. Wag niyo pong bibilin lahat ng sinabi namin dito.
Well, I just named the top 10 eh. So, feeling ko safe naman ako. Sige, kung bumili kayo, at least nasa top 10 lang yung binibili niyo. Pero wag yung Cardano. I don't think I can recommend Cardano.
Ako din meron akong ipit doon sa Cardano. Yeah. Siguro on our next episodes, pag-usapan natin yung mga portfolio construction, no? So magandang topic din 'yun eh. Kasi for sure maraming interested diyan kasi last cycle ang dami ko ding mga naipit but nag-positive yung portfolio because of the portfolio construction, no? So I guess that's one topic na pwede nating i-discuss next time.
I think
all right,
super helpful. And we should do that during our I guess hindi pa pala natin na-announce.
Oh.
But
yeah, announce it, Luis. Announce it.
So, it's not gonna happen next month, but in July, we are going to have the first Bitbulaga na in-person live at the GCash headquarters in BGC in Taguig. It's gonna happen July 27 again. That's a Saturday at 6 p.m. So we're going to send out official invites soon. Hopefully, the people who are watching us every month, and the fans and followers of Tito G, and Kuya Jerome and Aldrin will all come and see us discuss this stuff live. And I think portfolio construction might be a really good topic to kasi siya eh. Ang tawag dito, evergreen kasi yung topic na yun eh. It's always going to be useful. And I think earlier kasi we were kind of debating ano kaya yung okay na topic for our first in-person show. Sinasabi ko parang baka dapat mag-intay muna tayo ng news para alam natin kung ano yung pag-uusapan natin. But actually, portfolio construction is so useful.
Tsaka maganda yan dun sa handwriting mo, Luis. The best yan.
Sige, pero ikaw yung magbigay ng portfolio, tapos ako na lang taga-sulat. Ako yung note taker. So anyway, yeah, please, we're very hopeful that people will come and join us. Maghahanap din kami ng sponsors para we can all have a nice dinner and drinks and all of that stuff. But yeah, I'm very hopeful that we can make this event a big success. Yeah, and I'm looking forward to having the rest of the Tito gang in the GCash headquarters again.
Ayan, pagkakataon nyo na para makapunta ng GCash headquarters. So abangan po yan. We will announce it. Even the registration, i-announce po namin yan dito sa show. And final part ng show natin, let's answer some questions na mga nandito sa comment section. Okay, unahin natin. Ano po input nyo for DePin projects? I guess si Aldrin ang magaling dito sa DePin eh. Alright, go ahead Aldrin. DePin, ano
okay.
Input mo sa DePin? Yeah.
Okay. Last year pa actually siya si Kit pala to nag-ask. So, last year pa siya actually nagkaroon ng parang demand din talaga when the Starlink hype eh. So, yun, siguro for long term siguro kasi doon naman papunta yung tao nagagamit ng internet, halos karamihan yun yung ma-utilize. Siguro just select lang yung just like the high market cap, select nyo yung maganda yung pinaka goal ng isang DePin project kasi for sure maraming lalabas na DePin project if magkaroon ito ng boom. But yeah, last year yung isa sa mga yung for me lang buying opportunity for DePin projects last year talaga. Right now I think it depends lang sa pinaka risk appetite niya if you want to jump in sa DePin kasi I have some small portfolio sa DePin project. Medyo low ko lang siya nabili pero right now may mga DePin projects na maganda but yeah, for me just select. I think mas okay na basahin din talaga yung pinaka goal ng project nila as well as yung mga previous backers nila kung ano yung capacity to deliver nung output ng DePin projects kasi one of infrastructure itong si DePin parang magiging hub siya ng AIs doon kukuha ng data yung mga AI tapos ipapasa sa DePin, iikot. So yun, it could be beneficial if maganda yung pinaka nila goal ng project. But specific sa coin siguro wala akong ma-mention siguro muna. But yeah, you can do research naman, you can sort out naman yan sa sa CoinMarketCap, CoinGecko. You can sort yung top depend projects right now. Yeah.
Alright, thank you Tito Aldrin. Before natin iba to yung last final question, iimbitahan natin yung mga iba pa mga organizers na pwede po kayong mag-publish ng mga events niyo. Just go to Musaigen, submit lang po doon sa website para ma-publish yung mga events niyo na crypto related, no? Especially kung dito sa Philippines gagawin, para po ma-promote natin sa mga succeeding shows natin, sa mga succeeding Bitbulaga episodes natin. So just go to the website of Musaigen, musaigen.io po yan, and then submit the details of your events. Alright. Uy, thank you Musaigen. Ang ganda nito. Parang repository ng event na to. So yung mga naghahanap, minsan na may nagtatanong talaga sa akin, Tito, ano po kaya yung next event? Hindi ko hindi alam. So pupunta po kayo sa website ng musaigen.io para makita nyo ano yung mga next event na pwede nyong puntahan. Alright. Last and final question. Bato na natin. Alright. Okay, ito magandang question. Okay. Bakit po mainit ang SEC sa mga security type na mga cryptos? Alright. Sige, sino mauna? Kuya, ikaw mauna, and then si Tito Luis, yung final natin. Sige, guard, Kuya. Tingin mo, bakit mainit?
Mainit talaga ang SEC sa mga securities. If they define yung an asset to be a security and it's sold sa market, mainit talaga sa kanila kasi mandate po nila yan yung pag regulate ng mga securities. So if let's say yung isang token like Ethereum and a lot more na mga tokens dito sa crypto are deemed securities by the SEC, talagang magiging mainit po sa kanila. But there's kasi medyo may fine line doon sa kagaya ngayon nagkaroon na ng Ethereum spot ETFs. So thereby si Ethereum pwedeng maging president ng mga other tokens na din. Pero hindi natin sinasabing pwedeng makalaya na si XRP at saka yung mga iba pa na sila AVAX na ginawang security talaga, kasi kailangan talaga ma-regulate naman din ng SEC because yun trabaho talaga nila dito. But I don't think na ginagawa naman nila yan para ma-suppress yung crypto as a whole. So it's just that it's their mandate to do.
Alright. Tito Luis, what's your take?
Alam mo, kasi yan yung mga regulators naman, their job really is it's in the name, no? When you regulate something, you make it kind of regular. Everything needs to function and look the same. And the reason why they want to do that is so that it's very predictable to the average consumer or the average investor. They know what they're getting into when they buy an investment or they make an investment in something. The problem with crypto is, ang bilis natin mag-innovate So the regulators have a hard time following kung is this now a security? Is it a commodity? What is it? No, they have a hard time figuring out how to manage this new innovation. And the problem with the crypto world is every month may bago tayong innovation, may bagong platform. Hanggang ngayon, hindi ko pa rin actually mag-gets kung paano gumagana yung restaking protocols. Pero mga isang taon na yan, and I actually work in the industry, diba? I still struggle with some of these concepts. Paano pa kaya yung mga regulators na hindi naman crypto specifically yung mandate nila, no? Their mandate is all types of different investments. Crypto is just one portion of it. Tapos kawawa sila because every month may bago na naman. So hindi nila mahabol, and that's kind of why, no? Ang nangyayari is nagiging parang blanket position na lang nila since hindi natin masundan yung level of innovation ng crypto. We just have to be extra strict or extra conservative, extra cautious, which is I don't know. I mean, I don't envy their job. They're yung nangyari dito sa Binance here in the Philippines, the SEC was very unpopular because of that. And I'm not even sure kung may na-protect silang customers when they banned Binance. Actually, parang you could argue na baliktad nga yung nangyari, di ba? So, I don't know. It's a hard job. Pero, I guess what you're seeing with the US SEC at least is, for whatever reason, maybe it's a political thing, they are now forced to be a little bit more open to things like Ethereum and stuff like that. So maybe it's a step in the right direction. But I think the one thing we can promise is that it will never be, regulators will never catch up to the level of innovation. Kasi yung nature of innovation is you're constantly trying new things. Pioneering ka eh. So by nature, wala pang batas na ginawa para dun sa mga ini-invent mo. I mean, obviously, if the law was already created, hindi new invention yun, di ba? So, wala eh, ganun lang talaga yun eh. So, we just have to accept it and, understand that, yung mission naman nila is to protect customers. So, I guess we try to be supportive and help them out whenever we can. That's it.
Yeah, well said, well said. Sige, echo ko din yun, yung mission ng SEC is to protect the investing public. Yeah, that's their mandate. No? So, and again, mabilis yung innovation natin sa crypto and yun nga, yung pag-catch up nila, it will really take time, no? And limited lang din kasi yung powers nila, no? What is in the law, i-implement lang nila yan di ba? Na sila yung regulator, no? So again, ang very first mandate is to protect the investing public. Ngayon, since mabilis nga tong space na to, and again, as mentioned by Tito Luis, hindi lahat mapoprotektahan nila. May mga sasabit pa rin talaga, no matter how good their intentions are, hindi nila kayang protektahan lahat kasi sobrang bilis ng space. I guess it's also our duty na mga nandito sa space ng crypto para protektahan din yung sarili natin. Hindi natin pwedeng iasa lahat yan sa regulator. Hindi natin pwedeng iasa lahat sa SEC na, sige, pagka, di ba, nandiyan naman, may tatakbuhan naman ako pag na-scam ako, pagka na-rug pull ako, etc. Di ba? So, I guess, itong space ng crypto na to is the awakening, no? Na if you want to make it in this space, you have to study and love this space so it will love you back. Alright, so, and with that, mga titos and titas, maraming salamat mo dyan na nagtatapos ang episode 4. Magkita-kita tayo sa next month ulit sa susunod na episode ng Beat
Bulaga!
Bye!
Bye everyone!
Hey guys.
Guys.